Hello, my angels. It's me, Saint Nicolina, and welcome to the first ever Christmas-themed episode of Angel Rise. Recognize the name? I'll give you an explanation as to how it came to be. The name is based on Santa Claus's actual name, Saint Nicholas, which is reminiscent of the bishop of the same name who hailed from Myra, a region within the present-day country of Turkey, and was part of ancient Greece. So that's why my name for Christmas is Saint Nicolina. Even I use it on other occasions, more specifically for the saint outfit you all know and recognize. Anyways, before this episode starts, I have two things to mention to you all. Number one, I would like to mention that I won't be making any Christmas poems for this year. Instead, I plan on doing something a lot more special. And I bet you all are gonna love it. I won't say what it is, because I want this to be a very special surprise. And number two, like I did with the Halloween-themed Angel Rise episodes, there will be 2 Christmas episodes. The second one of these will come out next week at the time I'm recording this. So stay tuned for what's ahead, everybody. And with that being said, let's get into the first ever Christmas-themed episode of Angel Rise. There's no denying that everyone has their traditions around the holiday season, including me and my family. So for this episode, I feel I would share some holiday traditions that my family and I have. The first tradition I would like to talk about is the shortbread cookies that my mother makes on a yearly basis. To be exact on what the cookies look like, they are rounded cookie dough made into different shapes and sizes. They were basic to make, requiring butter, flour, a little sugar, and an egg or two. Then they're mixed together to make the dough, and then my mother and I, sometimes my sisters too, would take portions of the dough and do a rolling motion with it in between our hands to make the cookies, regardless of how much we took. Based on me saying that they were in various sizes and shapes, there were some cookies we made over the years that were quite interesting to say the least. Some cookies we made almost as small as a plastic water bottle cap, and then there were ones that were significantly bigger, almost as big as the middle of the palm of a human hand. And how did they taste, you may ask? Let me tell you, they taste so good. They taste like a very sweet bread, and I often would eat quite a bit of them when they were made because they were so good. Even at times I tasted the dough, which was equally as good as the cookies themselves. However, it may not be the brightest of ideas, but you never know until you try. If you're ever looking for shortbread cookies around Christmas time, try the ones my mother makes. I bet you'll love them as much as I do. The next tradition I would like to share with you all is one that is common with any family, that being Secret Santa. For those of you who don't know what Secret Santa is, I'll give you all a quick explanation. Secret Santa involves a person who gets a gift for another person while not revealing that they are the one who got it until the time comes to open the gift. I have to say, it's a really clever concept. The Secret Santa gift exchange for my family only happens on my mother's side of the family. And how do we decide who we get gifts for, you may ask? We do a random draw, and the person we get is the one we have to get the gift for. When this happens, you all may not believe it. We do it around Thanksgiving. Since my family and I are from Canada, our Thanksgiving is on the second Monday of October, compared to the United States, whose Thanksgiving is on the fourth Thursday of November. It's definitely strange, I'll admit it. But it is what it is. The harvest comes at different times for each country. As for times when it happened, more specifically for this year, I got the same person I did for a past year. I'm not saying who because I don't want to ruin the surprise. But the Draw No question has brought some surprising people who were my Secret Santa. Last year being one of my aunts, which I felt was somewhat strange. Random chance sure has an amazing way of presenting itself, even on Christmas. Speaking of my mother's side of the family, this is another tradition we have with them, that being a gingerbread house competition. This tradition was started by one of my cousins back in 2013, where there would be 2 teams of 3 who would make gingerbread houses based on a specific theme, and there would be a panel of judges, that being the rest of the family, who would decide who wins the competition. The teams in question are as follows. The first team has one of my cousins, along with my 2 sisters, and the second team has another family cousin, one of my aunts, and my mother. The day when the competition happens is the same day as the family Christmas dinner and gift exchange, and it varied for the first few years. When my sisters and I spent Christmas with my mother, we would hold it on Christmas Day. And when my sisters and I spent Christmas with my father, we would do it on New Year's. The winner also varies from year to year, as the first year we did it, my sister's team won, and then the next, my mother's team won. And it went on this back and forth theme. As for the judging, I was the only judge of the competition for the first 2 years. In the second year, however, something silly really happened, in which I named my mother's team the winner since their gingerbread house was themed around the Disney movie Frozen, which I was a fan of at the time. Don't get me wrong, I really liked the gingerbread house that my sisters and cousin made that year, but the additional detail of the music video for Let It Go for the Frozen gingerbread house was what really got my attention. Afterwards, my sisters and cousin hilariously accused the setup of being non-edible because some props in it were made of non-consumable products. But they didn't convince me. All I really saw was how it was presented. However, thinking back on it, I think I may have had somewhat of a bias. As I mentioned earlier, I really loved Frozen at the time. It's pretty funny now that I think of it, which makes me think this wasn't a controversy. It was more or less a very funny moment. The next year we did switch to include all family members to have a vote in the gingerbread house competition, with the exception of the teams and me still being the primary judge. Thankfully, results have been more fair and inclusive, and the back and forth of winners continued. I'm not sure if one will happen this year, but if it does happen, I'll make sure to share it with you all. As for the teams in this case, since my older sister moved to Florida, someone would either have to take her place on my younger sister's team, or she can join remotely. Regardless of what happens though, the gingerbread house competition on my mother's side of the family is no question a holiday tradition for the history books. This next tradition I would like to share is honestly my most favorite one. That being the Christmas dinner with my family on my father's side, which yearly has been hosted by my Nana and Papa 2 to 3 days before Christmas. Nowadays, it's just my Papa who hosts, because unfortunately, my Nana did pass away on August 25th, 2014 at the age of 66. Rest in peace, Nana. May God rest your soul. Anyways, on to the tradition itself. My cousins on my dad's side, along with their father and stepmother, as well as my stepbrother and stepmother, in addition to my great aunt, joined for the dinner. Now I did mention only my great aunt, because my great uncle, Uncle George, he came along to every single dinner as well, until he passed away on April 18th, 2017 at the age of 93. May God rest your soul, Uncle George. I did make a mention of him back in episode 8 of Angel Rise. If you would like to check it out, I will include a link on the screen right here. For the dinner itself, my papa makes steak and homemade fries, which is undoubtedly one of the most unique food combos I've ever seen, and I really enjoy it every single year. In addition, Papa also gives gifts to all his grandchildren on that day, myself included, and some of them I wasn't quite expecting, but no question I took them in. Another thing we did at the family dinners was take family photos. In 2010, during one of them, there were pictures taken of the grandchildren, myself included, based on which parent they belonged to, with some mixes in the process. One of mine involved having my youngest cousin sitting on my leg, which I honestly enjoyed because, for the early parts of my life, him and I were very close. As a matter of fact, these photos were recreated a few years later, with the same poses, though we had different outfits than what we had back then. Let's just say, they were just as fun as the ones back in 2010. I'm never afraid to look back on that. And my absolute favorite part of this tradition is a present pass-along game which was created a couple years after Nana's passing. How this works is we roll a foam dice to determine how each gift for the game is shifted around. Actions for numbers included stealing another person's gift, trading gifts to the person beside us, and opening the gift we have. Those actions have led to some pretty funny moments, including one Christmas where one of my cousins, who of course is the youngest cousin I mentioned earlier and is the same age as my younger sister, was constantly goofing around with my father, and my father didn't hesitate to return funny fire. It was no question hilarious now that I think of it. Once we open a gift, we can shift it around with other people until everyone has rolled the number with the opening gift action. Then once the game ends, we get to keep the gifts that we have. The most notable gift I got from this game was a blanket that I got in 2018. It was white with gray and black detailing on it. I still have it to this day, and while I may not use it often, it's still amazing to look at. And it's a definite partner to the one I've had since childhood. Overall, this tradition has brought so many memories, and is no question my most favorite of the traditions that my family has. For the last tradition I would like to share, this is one I recently started. That being making drawings as Christmas gifts for my family. This is a tradition I started because buying them something was becoming less of a strong suit for me, as I didn't have many ideas for them, with some exceptions, including Secret Santa. Plus, I do want to save money, because of a quote I keep deep down in my heart. Money can't buy happiness. Also, I've done this before outside of Christmas, as my way of expressing gratitude to things and people I appreciate. For example, I made drawings for my teachers in my later years of high school, thanking them for being in their class. And what are the drawings of, you may ask? They are of my OCs and my real life self. And for the sake of Christmas, they are of course in Christmas outfits. Honestly, they are a joy to make. Artwork has always been one of my biggest strengths, and to pass them along as gifts is truly a new way of mine to say Merry Christmas and giving back to those I love. Every one of these traditions I've shared with you all have a special place in my heart, and I cherish them for both the past and the present. Would I say they are spiritive traditions? I would definitely say so. That's all for the first ever Christmas-themed episode of Angel Rise. Without question, I'm happy that I could share these amazing traditions with you all, and give you some insight into what my family and I do to celebrate the holiday season. And I do have a question for you all. Are there any traditions of significance that you and your family have? Please feel free to let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, definitely feel free to leave a like and share this with your loved ones. Spread the word about Angel Rise. For those of you who are new and would like to join this journey of mine, then please feel free to subscribe to join the Blue and White Angel Brethren today. And click on the notification bell so that you are notified whenever I release new content. And check out my other videos too. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of Angel Rise. I hope you all have a great day or night whenever you are watching this. And until we meet again, my name is Lord Nicolina, aka Saint Nicolina. Be strong, stay positive, and God bless.